Hello, the game has started. It's me to go first. I have a fairly balanced rack, but the Q and the double O, not ideal. I'll start with Caddy, I think. Caddy for 28. I draw the J and the C. Joko is good, J-O-C-O. And just looking at other four-letter J words, Rogi, R-O-G-I. Rioja, onto the A. Rogi for 24. Not a terrible rack leave. Not great, but no matter what I play, the rack leave's not going to be fantastic. Now, opponents played Stum. Looking at J plays through, I've got Juco for 29, and I think I'll go with that. Not a bad pickup there. Not quite Yodeler. Just wondering if there is a 7 here. It does look very close. Opponent scores 30 for Worth. Worth takes a Y. Just looking at this A in case there's an 8-letter word through it. Not that I can see. What about Doyle for... No, you can't spell it like that. I'm just wondering if it is worth putting my Y at the end of Worth, or should I hang on to it? What about LYE? It's 27. Yeah, I'll go with this. Not a bad pickup. I have loitered through an E. No E available. What about this A? Tailored. Is opponent about to whack down a high scoring play in column O or row 15? And do I have a 7? Well, opponent has taken my spot, which is a bit irksome. Troiled? No. Looking at the B and the N as floaters. Can't see anything. Now, do I give up on the bingo? I think I do. Debitor plus an L. Trilobed. Almost missed that. Okay, I've drawn a fairly balanced rack. Apart from the V, the rest of the rack pretty strong. Now, does lie take a D? Don't think so. Opponent scores a whopping 81 in column O. Five-letter play ending in an O. Do I have a four-timer through the I? That would score quite well. Not that I can see. Very close though. Well, the eye looks very useful actually. Just not seeing a four-timer or a bingo. What about thrive? Thrived. 28. Foaling is good, and that plays at I5 across. 80 points. Hopefully that remains available. Actually, there's a better scoring spot at D8 down. That'll score an absolute mozza. 92 points. Wow. That is a big hit if I am able. Our opponent takes that spot. I don't think he's provided anything better, so I'll go with foaling for 80. Not a bad pickup. Debutize from a D. Potentially, I'm not sure of that. Five-letter play ending in an I. Opponent scores 32 for oxide. I don't have a hook for oxide, but I do have the Z power tile, so hopefully I can use that to good effect. I could play Bez, and I think I will, because it serves to block useful floaters and also scores pretty well. I'm going with Bez. Or do I play biz? There are a whole lot of E's to come. I think I could play buys, but that does take an S, and there are two S's to come. It does sort the rack out nicely, but I think in this instance I'm going to play a little bit safer. Well, that served me right. I shouldn't have left so many vowels on the rack, especially since there were 19 in the bag and only 14 consonants. So that's alright. Are there any 5-vowel 8s that I can muster? Opponent scores quite well for Nye, 25. So just a small bingo ahead at the moment. Now the N. Wow, that's so close to a 5-vowel 8. Do I get rid of UE? Do I get rid of UE? That's the question. So I could play je. Leaves me with a fairly good rack. Combines beautifully with this N. And scores 14. Not many bingo lanes on the board apart from the N as floaters. The T somewhat restricted in terms of placement. But I think I will go with this 14. Paciest and the other anagrams. Spicate is the other one. Thrived doesn't take any front hooks. Opponent bingos. But he has now provided a spot for paciest. Just looking at the N. Paciest is going to score very nicely, even though it'll give back some score to opponent. 90 points, I can't turn that down. And opponent will have one shot at a triple word square and I'll have a shot at another. So this is a fairly balanced move in terms of what it gives back to opponent. Terrible pickup. Absolutely terrible. But I do have a 100-point lead. Opponent likely to get about 40 to 50 points across the top here. With the remaining tiles, he could even bingo, so that could be a monster 100-point play, in which case I'd be in deep trouble. Now, how can I utilize the ZE with all these vowels? Opponents thought of that plan as well. Now I'm going to take out the hotspot. Maybe just eat. Yeah, I think that's the safest move. There are 3 in the bag. Opponent's very unlikely to bingo with that remaining lot. And on this board it's not going to happen, so I'll go with eat. Okay, I draw an F and the L, so that's good. Kangaroo almost. I wonder if he has something through the N. Maybe an ing ending word. Carooing. No. I have a nice 40-something point play up here. Foil for 46 if opponent doesn't snatch that spot. Folio. No, I don't have an extra O. Filii. Filia. Filia like that for 30. That's not a bad score. Opponent digging deep for a bingo here. Maybe something ending in an O. Or an A. He doesn't find a bingo. So, do I have a way to place my F at 10B and then get the whole word doubled? Not that I can see. So I'll go with filia, which is no good. I'm confusing that with something else. Down to 1 minute 30. Best spot for the F would be I don't know where it would be. Opponent's likely to go out, so maybe a play of fuel for 30. Yeah, I'll go with fuel. Not seeing anything much better than 30. And opponent should go out. He's got long across the top there, which would score arguably more than a word through the L, because the P, the OP double, yeah, song. Okay, so that's the end of the game. Final score 470 to me, 399 to my opponent. Let's see what we missed. Back to the beginning, and caddy looks fine for 28. Opponent goes with stum, had swum for 33 with a better rack leaf. And Juco for 29, highest score, but interestingly, CIOR being a better rack leaf gets a slightly higher equity score, even though the actual score is lower, so not much in that one. Opponent struggling with a vowel shortage goes with worth, and no bingo here. Odil for 31. That would have been nice. Look at that rack leaf, EIR, that would have been the play. Odile is also good. And then idle as well would have been decent. So a little bit suboptimal there with lie. Now opponent plays brawn to sort out his consonant vowel imbalance. And now trilobed. Took a while to spot, but it was the only bingo, so delighted to have spotted that. Great rack here for opponent. He has a host of bingos and goes with marries for 81. Now hoved for 32, 5i. Okay, across the top I went with, I felt the need to take out this hotspot, the 4-timer, and I played through it, thrived. Opponent has a pretty balanced rack here, close to a bingo, but none available. Naive scores well for 36, foaling and floating through the T, foaling scoring marginally better, and then opponent exodoi for 48. That was at 15G. Exodoi, lovely play, taking out the trip lane and scoring handsomely in the process. Tricky one to spot. Opponent goes with oxide, and I now have Bez for 50, but Zebu for 51 at 4K was also on offer. Zebu, nice. Restricting the use or taking out the G as a floater for the trip lane. I like Zebu. Good rack leave, great score. So that was a little bit of a miss. Although Bez did take out some useful floaters for bingos, so it had merit. Now, Nai for 25 opponent goes with. Oni for 31 was slightly better at 6L. Nice. Goes with Nai, and no bingos here, but my thought of playing Je gave me a really strong 5-letter leave, and I thought chances of bingoing through that N if it remained available were quite high, depending on what I drew, but yeah. Now opponent has a bingo. Poutines takes a small lead. Oh, actually no, he was drawing level more or less with that play. Now Paciest for 90, Aseptic for 78. Aseptic, okay. Paciest definitely the highest scoring one. Now opponent struggling a bit with vowels. Guano, that's a lovely score, 1D. Yeah. Guano, 39. I still would have had a bit of a lead, but that was a very strong score with these tiles, all 1 and 2 point tiles. Opponent goes with Gauze for 30, leaving alone, and it probably made sense to do that because he needed a bingo, I'd say, at this stage to win. Eat for 27 was the highest score, but AIA would have been better. Yeah, just 3 fewer points, but retaining that crucial consonant. Now, did opponent have a bingo? No. Core, Kaugh for 45, still not enough. Knaggy for 42, okay. Opponent went with Oak for 25, and then Folia. That's what I was thinking of. I think I mentioned folio, but folia is good. And Fuel was the same score, but gave back easier scores to opponent. Either way, he scored more up at the top anyway, with Song or Gong or any of those others, but not enough. And that was the end of the game. So hope you enjoyed watching that game, and I will see you next time.